Hello, everyone. My name is Adonis Dees. I will be presenting case two, Una Rosa, for assignment E. And just a little bit about Rose, or Rosa, aka Rose. She's 25. She's from Guatemala. Um, Her and her youngest sister were raised by her aunt and uncle after her parents were brutally murdered. Um, there are concerns of um, Rosa attempting suicide, uh, had to be hospitalized for uh, attempting to slit her wrist with a machete. Um, this client has also experienced some trauma that has not been fully addressed, such as like sexual trauma. She was raped um, in the same space as her parents being murdered, um, and also witnessed her younger sister be raped as well. Um, and so the client, um, just an overview, appears to be a survivor of those traumatic experiences. Um, just some strengths that she's been able to maintain a productive life. She's found a sense of purpose with like her job, and she's had a good connection with the community um, because of her job. And she's also expressed that she has a very strong faith based, um, and that has kept her grounded. Um, and she's been able to practice some resilience because of that as well throughout her life. Um, just some ongoing context, um, and I'll just go by some of the subjects as far as like immediate environment. She's single, um, was hospitalized at the time um, of the reading. She most likely lives alone. Um, uh, it's reported that the client did pretty well in school growing up. It's not known if she is currently in school, but she appeared to be a very bright student and enjoyed what she did. Um, was learning different languages as well. Picked up on like French and English as well as Spanish. Um, Extended family. She's got her aunt and uncle that she lived with since she was 15, um, and as well as her cousin, um, or cousins rather. Just some social support appears to be the connection with the people uh, that she's with in her job, and she's been able to connect with the community in that way. She is part of the Catholic community as well. Um, just some as far as her positioning socially, she is a female. She's in a country that it is low in economy and has a history um, of being like apprehensive to mental health. And like it was said in the text that um, mental health and like mental health services was pretty stigmatized in Guatemalan culture. So that could be a barrier. Um, but she didn't seem to be um, against that at all, which was good. Um, and obviously, the trauma history again, she experienced that sexual trauma at 15, um, as well as witnessing two murders. Um, Psychosocial, as far as that, she was interested in someone romantically. Uh, it became distant subtly after she had a trauma response. Um, and immediately that turned into suicidal ideation and eventually cutting herself, which led to that hospitalization. Uh, just a few mid-level theories that I thought could apply to Rose and her situation: crisis theory, as well as person-centered theory, um, and just a little overview of the crisis theory. It was proposed originally by Kaplan and Hobbes, um, and it's described as like external and internal stimuli repeatedly producing stress, which creates problem-solving situations. So it's what I got from that was that repeated stress. And then it got popularized by Lindman and his team when they were doing like brief work. Um, and then person-centered theory is basically designed to assist people's growth by providing a particular kind of relationships through communications that have like specific qualities. And then there's 5 key concepts to that, um, as we read in our textbook for this class: self-actualization, incongruence, congruence, unconditional positive regard, and empathy. And it is simultaneously respectful of the individual while identifying commonality. And also there is like no, um, we are not, as social workers, we are not seen as the quote unquote experts in this situation. We empower um, uh, our clients. And so I think crisis theory could apply to Rose because she isn't considered in a crisis for her suicide attempt. And crisis is very direct in responding to um, an event. Um, I think person-centered theory is more so uh, a little bit more broad, and it could go a number of different ways as far as like um, the model to the approach of the model for Rose. But I think that would address more so like uh, the deeper level trauma that she's experienced, as well as like maybe some past events that led to her suicidal ideation and attempt. Just some strengths and limitations for crisis theory that we explored. Some strengths is that it does go by a strengths-based approach. Um, it is effective across diverse types of crises and client populations. Um, and then it's very flexible with like the stages of crises. And it has when it has a systemic approach, it's less prone to like medicalization, which is kind of throwing medication at people. And that opens the possibility of using different approaches and remedies and interventions. It kind of allows people to be a little more creative and flexible when dealing with the crisis. And then some critiques I found was that it doesn't like solve some of those underlying issues. So like some deep rooted like personality issues or like relationship issues. It doesn't really cover that part, nor does it resolve any of like the broader issues, the macro um, issues that people run into, like discrimination, things of that nature. And then crisis workers usually don't see like the end result. And it could be looked at as like a band-aid approach, like if the social worker is helping the client kind of quote unquote put out a fire. Um, it's not really preparing um, for the next fire to happen, if you will. And then the person-centered theory, um, it honors self-determination, uh, displays warmth and concern, and honors inherent dignity and worth. And those pieces were discussed in the NASW Code of Ethics. It also offers an important framework when it works with multicultural settings. Um, and then just some limitations on that. It was said that the person-centered theory tends to have more emphasis on therapeutic alliance rather than on its effectiveness. And then it could be looked at as just too simplistic. And so my recommendation that I would use with Rose would be more so of the um, the person-centered theory, just to kind of address some of those underlying needs that she has. I think what stands out kind of the most, um, obviously the suicide attempt was um, was very important. I think, and that's why she had to be hospitalized. But I think from the moment that um, the social worker came and saw Rose in the hospital, I think from that point on, I personally would use more of a person centered approach, just to kind of have that the client um, take the lead in their growth and want to change. Um, and I could be used as uh, just a person to um, kind of hold their hand, for lack of a better term, getting through some of those deep rooted traumas about um, uh, that like PTSD that she possibly has, um, witnessing the murder uh, of her parents, as well as uh, uh, her sister being sexually raped. Um, and then as well as addressing some of the depression that she's been experiencing, as well as that guilt and like shame when it comes to um, when she gets close in relationships like the one that she was just in, um, with that romantic partner at one point. And I think all of those things um, kind of led to that suicide attempt. And so I think person centered theory would be more so like a direct way, um, and a kind of a strength based way to approach that. And then just some additional things that stood out to me. Um, Rose mentioned there was mention that Rose only really had um, her aunt, uncle, and cousins, and I'd be interested in exploring if there were like any additional family members that maybe she um, either was close with, people that maybe she would explore being in her life, um, if that would kind of help to expand uh, her support system. And then uh, I would see if Rose is ready to um, later on down the line, like repair that relationship with her ex partner. And again, that person centered approach, I would kind of let her take the lead on that, if that's something that she would be willing to do, and just um, kind of walk with her through that journey, because I know that's not something that would be easy to do. Um, would definitely try to address past trauma that she experienced, like with her sister, and like them together. I just wonder if they've ever even like talked about what happened, or like things of that nature. And I'd be interested to have them in like um, um, doing like family, uh, whether it's sessions or um, just like family like activities, different uh, kind of creative or therapeutic approaches, like art, in the form of art or music of some kind. Um, and then also um, I would look to explore like grief counseling or support groups, depending on what Rose would be most comfortable with. I would um, those would be some things that I would look into, and I think those things would kind of help, again, expand her social support, as well as just um, her connection to community, in her environment, and just to have more uh, more healthy outlets. And these are just some of the references that I came up with. And thank you all for listening.